And then ultimately the place will fill up, and mostly with women, ironically, because it appears that women are much more sensitive to the energy, and they're literally drawn in like a magnet. So women, are more intuitive by nature, and they respond to energy on a much more dramatic level than men do. Men are creatures of logic, and so it takes them a while before they begin to feel the effects of energetic technologies. But the women just seem to soak this stuff up right away, and they respond very well to it. So I noticed that also in the presence of the water, even just the presence of the water, that people's minds become clear, and they are open to all sorts of crazy topics that they normally wouldn't be open for. So, the application in sales is phenomenal. You go into a room and you have a sales presentation, you have a gallon or, a quart of charged water there, maybe you're drinking it, whatever, blah, 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 and you'd be surprised all of a sudden how people are going to be receptive to your ideas. Their minds just kind of melt and they open, and it's a phenomena that I've noticed time and time again. I've done it in conjunction with the doctor they work for. I do massage for him. And we've just seen clients come in, and they just change very rapidly. Their physical structure responds very rapidly to the water. We do these physical manipulation techniques, and we're noticing we're getting much better movements when people drink the water. So there's some action where there is a hydration kind of youth effect, where the physical structure is now responding to the shifts in the structure. So ultimately, there's a self-correction mechanism perhaps taking place with massive use of the water over long term. Now, long term for us has only been about 7 weeks now, 6 or 7 weeks. So I don't really know what it will be a year out, 2 years out. It's only speculation at that point, and there's no point even going there because, there's so much activity with this water product that we're getting feedback from the client base very rapidly. So I would suggest, if you're on the bioresonance program, you haven't tried it, we'll certainly set you up with the water program so you understand the difference, how the combined, the two of them work. And if you do have some health issues, low energy, this and that, it's really going to dramatically help push your process forward. You'll really begin to understand the value of these technologies. We really are on the cutting edge of a new revolution with these bioresonance technologies. We're just beginning to understand. We have no idea what we have on our hands, and that's about it. I'm going to turn the floor over to Bill.
Well, first of all, I'd like to tell all of you that Kevin has really sort of made this his mission in the experimentation that he's done. It really is very in-depth and very carefully observed. As I'm sure most of you know, New York City is fairly densely populated. And so what happens is you get a chance to get a very large number of hits per amount of exposure you get to the populace because there's just so much density there. If you live in Prescott, Arizona, like I do, there's very little density. And so he's sort of like my eyes in understanding exactly what the energetic implications of these things are, actually in many ways more than I can. I can intuit. I can talk to clients. I can observe things as far as myself is concerned. And this is what I've noticed so far. First of all, there was a mention of a Stargate. What I would say to you is that every single atom and every single molecule and every single physical substance on this planet is a Stargate. In that, Stargates are essentially openings or ways that tachyon energy can permeate the physical plane. And this goes through what's called Y-biased angularity, which is in order to reach the atomic level, it has to go through about four or five iterations of various types of subatomic states in order to get to the point where it actually can form a molecule or an atom. So these are really all Stargates. These are all these things, substances, including the water, are a contact with multidimensional space, which we know almost nothing about except through mathematics, where we can theorize what occurs in these multidimensional universes. So when you have something that's highly energized that makes a closer contact to this multidimensional space, it almost looks like or seems or feels like magic in a way, because you're reaching something that's out of the ordinary, I always say the definition of magic is knowing how to do a trick when no one else does. And I would say that what we're doing here is we have a method that I'm not aware of anybody else having. There are elements that other people have, but they've not been able to put it together in a really efficacious way as we've been fortunate enough to be able to do. So what I would say, generally speaking, is there are a lot of ingredients in the water program. Let's just take the water program for a second and not worry about the distance energy program. The water program probably has between 120 and 140 different elements in it in order to make this particular feeling, this particular sensitivity that you all are feeling. So, let me give you just a real quick example. Kevin remembers it well. We ran across a product, and I may have mentioned this in another thing, but I will again. We came across a product that was sold by someone, I think it was xenon water or krypton water, and what they're basically doing is they're bubbling an inert gas such as xenon or krypton up through water. It's affecting it to a certain extent energetically. And I muscle tested this and found that it was just, I won't say worthless. I just would just say that it's not certainly anything I would want to take. Let's put it that way. On the other hand, we checked with neon, and we found that neon produced a much more energetic signature in water, and also helium does. These are both much lighter, more jumpy atomic structures. They're lighter in atomic weight, etc. And therefore, because they're lighter in atomic weight, they're going to have a tendency to move around a lot more, just like a light element moves around, a light feather moves around more easily in the wind than, say, for instance, a lead weight. So this we tried. It worked fantastically. We could both sense the difference in the overall signature, and we kept it. Now, I've continued to watch the effects of neon. I can still feel the effects of neon. It affects me as an uplifting orange color, almost like a piece of orange candy, just kind of poppy and jumpy. And even through all the things we've added since then, that signature of neon continues to be there, as does helium. Both of them have kept their signature, and I felt I haven't been lost in the soup of the large number of things that we've added recently. Another one we've added, and this was was suggested by a physician friend of mine. It ended up working out, although 4 or 5 other of his suggestions didn't, is glutathione, which some of you may know is an amino acid. Glutathione sometimes has a very nice effect on muscle relaxation and suppleness. And this happened to work out. I double-checked it. I muscle tested it. I got a feeling that it was right. I should give it a shot. Since it was an amino acid, I knew that it wasn't going to be particularly negative. And sure enough, in adding that, there was a softness and a suppleness and a relaxation in my muscles I felt almost immediately, and still do to this time. What you find is in each one of these elements, as you add them, you begin to feel the effects of those things. And if you bring them up, it's almost like going to a library. You can concentrate and feel that contribution, that if you're sensitive to it, which I'd like to think I am relatively sensitive, you can feel that contribution given to the overall mix or the overall set of ingredients of the signature of the water. At this point, I have a very large number of things that I'm adding. Actually, I had to add extra circuits so I can add more ingredients now, because some of the setups are becoming overloaded with stuff. I would say for each one of these things that I accept, I probably reject 4. And this I've done before with the distance energy program, which is one of the reasons it's so incredibly efficacious, is because it's gone through almost 3 years of constant reprogramming and optimization, just as the water program is optimizing as well. I thought about 2 weeks ago that I would build another machine that had a significantly higher power. I decided not to do that. What I decided to concentrate instead on was getting people to continue to wish to hydrate their body rather than just taking a small dose and getting a big pop out of it, to continue to hydrate their body by drinking enough water to give themselves the hydration benefits as well as the energetic benefits.